I never stopped taking pictures, right? I just fixed the angle. That's what we do. That's why we like selfies now. Because in a selfie, you get to fix the angle and you could look.
Oh, you can?
Oh, absolutely. In a selfie.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes. Take a picture down here. You'll see all the fat for sure. But if you lift the camera up.
Welcome to your daily health briefing. I'm Dr. Albert Takem. This show is here to help you navigate the complex U.S. medical system, one step at a time. Whether you are decoding a new diagnosis, fighting for a referral, or just trying to stay informed, you are in the right place. Let's get into the science. Body positivity began as an important answer to shame. But loving your body and protecting your health are not opposing ideas. In this episode, Lisa Wiley explains why self-acceptance should not become permission to ignore blood pressure, mobility, or the habits we pass on to our children.
And I'm gonna tell you what I asked, and it's true, right? We ignore it. We don't want to hear the truth. And then after I lost the weight and I look at pictures, then I really had the nerve to ask my friends, why'd you let me get that big? So we don't want to hear, right, the truth or something that seems like it's not a goal that we can obtain. But I'm looking back like all these years, why did y'all let me look like this?
So let me ask you a question based on what you just said. Is it time to put the body positivity movement on trial? Indict it and make them answer for this. Because what you just said is quite telling. You ask your friends, why didn't you guys say anything? Why did you let me get like this?
Mm-hmm.
What if they told you, now we're body positive?
Mm-hmm.
You should be a big girl. You should love yourself at any weight you are.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to them?
Ooh. I would say that you should love who you are, but you should be healthy.
Because it's ultimately about health.
It's ultimately about health and being heart healthy. There's so many people dying. It's scary because I feel like I'm at an age where, now friends may die around me, but it doesn't matter how old. I'm watching the news or my friends say, my nephew, my cousin, my friend, this musician, that, people are dying and we don't know why, right? Or do we? We know why, but people are dying at ages that you didn't think you were supposed to die, right? So it really is about your health. And so we're tying two things, one of my favorite sayings is, two things can be true, right? You should love who you are, right? You should love your personality. You should, love how God designed you. I was in a session yesterday, a leadership, and she talked about, how we are uniquely made and formed, and God hand-stitched us to be the way that we are. So you absolutely should love who you are. And you should be very intentional about your health. And if weight loss comes with that, sure, I would never tell my daughter, just love who you are. Just love yourself the way you are, and you don't have to do anything. My son, my son was very, very small when he was younger, and now he has gotten thicker. And I am not saying, hey, we're going to just love the way you are. You're going to get on the treadmill every day. If you don't have PE, or if you have PE, I'll give you a break from the treadmill, but you're going to be heart healthy. You're going to be intentional about being healthy.
Is that part of good parenting?
Absolutely. Because my son will live a long life. And I tell my son how handsome he is and how much I love him. You are handsome, thick or thin, but we're going to be healthy as well. And so I never am going to walk around and tell my children, oh, no, love yourself the way you are, because then that seems like that's giving you the excuse not to be healthy. It took me a long time to make healthy behavior as a priority.
Wonderful. That's awesome advice to all parents. I always say that if a child is obese or overweight, it's the parent's fault. The child doesn't have a credit card. Can't go to the store and buy food. Somebody's buying it. Somebody's enabling that child. So we are all responsible, starting with me. Let's go back to August 2021. Here you are, 260 pounds, still wearing your high heels, still confident. That never changes. Then what changed? What made you want to lose the weight?
Again, it was all in the look. And I'm grateful that I grew up in a family where I was healthy. I have not had to deal with a lot of diabetes, those things that make you do something in the moment. Right.
You had surgery though. You had 2 lumbar disc herniations and you had to go under the knife.
I know.
That would be a wake-up call for anybody.
I did not tie that to weight though, because he didn't tell me to lose weight. Right. So I didn't tie that.
Doctors, please, don't be scared of patients. Bring it up. So he didn't tell you anything and you didn't tie it to weight.
I didn't. I thought it was because, they would tell me because I was, I was always a teacher in childcare. They would say it was how I picked up a child. I used to bowl, go bowling. It was, and when the incident happened, I had a car accident and I went bowling right before that. So it was like a sports injury. And so I did not attribute my back surgery or those back pains to weight. So growing up, I did not have these health things that said you need to do something right away. It wasn't, again, it was always in a look. And so I remember one day looking in the mirror. I actually put on some clothes and I was like, this is not what I had in my mind. I had a look in my mind. I thought my little J-Woo mom, I was dropping my daughter off at college. I was so excited to have that little shirt on. And when I put it on, I was like, whoa, why is this so tight? It was a look. And then I remember going down and we were unpacking her room and everybody was all over the place and somebody took a picture of me and I was sitting down like in front of her desk and taking some stuff out and I'm looking at that picture and I'm just so big at that picture. And then I had just gotten on the blood pressure medicine. And so growing up, being pretty healthy, it's like, okay, now my weight is starting to cause health issues. Again, I didn't tie weight to my back situation. So this blood pressure, the very lowest dosage you could be on. But to me, okay, my weight is tying to some health issues.
So that was an alarm bell going off.
Yep. The blood pressure medicine, and then I could see it. That was the first time. So it was like I finally took off whatever covers were on my eyes because I allowed my thickness or my fat or the obesity to be okay. Because I didn't get teased, people around me, were thick. And so I had these blinders on, and it wasn't until I had to take that medicine and I took her to college that I took the blinders off and I could see it. But you could also see the difference in pictures. There are pictures that I take. I never stopped taking pictures, right? I just fix the angle. That's what we do. That's why we like selfies now. Because in a selfie, you get to fix the angle and you could look.
Oh, you can?
Oh, absolutely. In a selfie.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes. Take a picture down here. You'll see all the fat for sure. But if you lift the camera up, you can have these angles. I never stopped taking pictures. I never... I grew up dancing. I grew up in theater. So although I don't dance anymore, I'm always on the stage. I'm a leader at work. So I'm always doing the introduction. I'm an event planner. So I'm always the one with the microphone. So I never shied away from any of those things. I learned to dress the body that I had. And so it was like I had blinders on for years. And then I had to take some medicine.
And the blinders fell off.
The blinders, they fell off. And if you look at pictures, you could see a difference. If the blinders fell off and I had gained, 100 pounds that needed to be lost was crazy. When I was 160, 170, 180, right? 199 in my head, in my eyes, in my mind, it was okay. But that 200, that 215, it was like, ooh, right? That 230, I knew something was going on. But to get to finally 260, to then see different angles, I couldn't change the angle of the picture anymore to hide the chin, to hide the neck, to hide there was not an angle that I could do it anymore, right? I shaved my hair off. So one side, you gonna see it all, right? Where one side I could have long hair and a turtleneck and I could cover it up. But I couldn't cover it up anymore with an angle. It was like, where is this fat been? But it's been there. I just had these blinders on.
You do not have to hate your body in order to change how you care for it. In fact, lasting change is often more sustainable when it begins with respect rather than punishment. Self-love says, I am worthy now. Health responsibility adds, and I am worth protecting for the future. This has been the Daily Brief. Medicine is not about certainty. It is about responsibility. Decisions are often made with incomplete information, but they are always made with your safety in mind. In a system that can feel rushed and fragmented, you deserve clarity, continuity, and an advocate who sees the whole picture. I am Dr. Albert Takem, your physician ally, high-level science, human-level care. I will see you at the next briefing, or I will see you in the clinic.